everyone. So today I'm doing my May wrap up as well as my June TBR. So in May I read a total of 3 books and I'm counting 3. Technically I read mostly 2 and that is just because I started the 3rd book the last day of May and I finished it like the next day, so I'm just gonna count it in the May wrap up because then I can say I read a total of 3 books instead of 2 because, you know, more books is better than less. And so all these books are pretty good sized books, and so I think even though it was less than I wanted to read this month, I still think that it was a good amount of reading that I did. So the first book that I read in May is Unhooked by Lisa Maxwell, and so this is a retelling of Peter Pan, and I've never read any retellings of Peter Pan before, and I can say that my expectations for this book were exceeded. This book was so amazing, the first half especially. So the main character of Unhooked, Gwen, her and her mother, have always been moving around places, and they are just moving into this new apartment, and her best friend is helping them unpack. But the first night that they lived there, Gwen and her best friend are kidnapped and are taken to Neverland. They end up on a pirate ship led by this captain and his crew who are all children or teenagers, and when Gwen is told that she landed in Neverland, she can't believe it because it's completely different from all the stories that have been told thus far, and so she has to decide for herself who she can trust, this captain or Peter Pan, who is seen as this very carefree, mischievous kind of guy. And so I ranked this book 4 out of 5 stars, and that is because the first half of this book was phenomenal. I was hooked. Unhooked, get it? I was hooked throughout the story. Unfortunately, towards the end, I feel like the ending could have gotten a little better. It was a little like all over the place and things happened so fast, and it was just kind of like very different from the first half. Definitely recommend that you guys try reading this book because for me it was phenomenal. It was my very first Peter Pan retelling and I was definitely satisfied. The second book I read in May is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This series is ace, okay? Scarlet is the second installment in the Lunar Chronicles. The first one is Cinder, and this is actually becoming one of my most favorite series. The characters in these books are so well developed, and they aren't just like flat characters, they are very complex, and I just love all of their personalities. They complement each other so well. And so this one is about Red Riding Hood. They are all retellings, and this one takes place in France. So Scarlet's grandmother is missing in the beginning of this book, and so Scarlet decides to trust this street fighter named Wolf, and together they go to Paris and try to find her grandmother and understand why she was kidnapped in the first place. So I know the original story of Red Riding Hood, and you know, the wolf was supposed to be bad, and oh my god, there is a plot twist in this book and I didn't see it coming. I really should have because I knew the story going in, but but there are reasons why this had to happen, and I still love the character for it, but and I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. They just keep getting better and better, honestly. Okay, so this next book, I was supposed to be reading City of Glass this month, the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series. I was planning on reading 1 each month, but then I bought Cress by Marissa Meyer. My babies, Cress and Thorn. So this is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles, and it is a retelling of Rapunzel. So Rapunzel is my favorite princess, and so I could not wait to start this book. Okay, so after I finished Cinder, I was like, okay, I need to find fan art for this series, and then I discovered all these new characters, the characters from Scarlet and Wolf and Emperor Kai and Cinder, and then we have Thorn and Cress. Okay, so this has only happened to me one other time in the Throne of Glass series. Never have I shipped 2 people so much before I even started the book. Okay, so Cress and Thorn, they were made for each other. Their relationship is so amazing, the way that they like rely on each other. So Cress and Thorn are trapped in the satellite that is hurtling towards Earth, and when they crash they end up in the Sahara Desert, and unfortunately Thorn is temporarily blinded, and so he has to rely on somebody who has never been to Earth before to lead him to safety, and it's just so amazing. I did not want this book to end, but it's such a big book that I had so much left to read when I thought it was like, I was already reading for a couple days, and I'm like, oh, I'm almost gonna be done with this book. But then I looked and I was like, okay, it's okay. I still have 100 more pages. And this book, I just wish it was longer. I want more Cress and Thorn. In Winter, the 4th book, you better have a lot more on Cress and Thorn, okay? Because I feel like even though they had this entire book, I feel like their story wasn't finished. So we'll have to see. Obviously, I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. If I could, I would give it 10 out of 5. Oh, it was just that good. And that is it for the wrap-up portion of my video, and now I'll be moving on to my TBR for June. So a book that I definitely want to finish in June, but I'm not going to be reading it first, is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. And so, you know, by now I'm rereading the series so I can finally reread Lady Midnight, just so I can like catch up and remember everything that happened. So I was supposed to be reading this in May, but then I got Cress, and that just took over my life for 3 days. And now I don't know what to do with myself. I definitely want to keep up my rereadings of the Mortal Instrument series, so I definitely hope to be reading it this month because I didn't get to it last time. So this next book, I'm actually already starting to read it, and this is going to be another reread, and that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. So in honor of The Raven King being released very recently, I decided that I wanted to reread the series. That way I just remember everything that happens, so that way when I start The Raven King, well, technically I still have to finish Blue Lily, Lily Blue too, so I just thought, you know, like, why not reread the entire series? Just that way I can, like, you know, remember stuff that may be important later on. And so Maggie Stiefvater is one of my most favorite authors, and all of her novels are so amazing, and I just can't wait to, oh, whoa. I didn't even know that the cover. Oh, wow, okay. I have the screen right in front of me too. I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder, and I didn't even know that. Okay, whatever. I didn't even notice that the cover was slipping off. I'm already like 20 pages in, and I'm like, I definitely remember why I love the series so much. So the Raven Cycle series is about a girl named Blue Sargent whose family are psychics, except for her, but she is this amplifier, and when she is around magic, then the magic becomes more amplified. So she meets this group of boys called the Raven Boys because they go to this private school, and together they're looking for this dead Welsh king. Oh my god, what? I don't even notice that this happens. This book cover, oh my god, it is so slippery. And the third book that I plan to read in June is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. So I have been seeing this book all over the place for the longest time, and whenever I search for it at Barnes & Noble, they never have it, so finally I ordered it online, and this book seems like such an amazing story. I think it's like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, because the plot line is that there's this village surrounded by this forest where like dark, dangerous stuff happens in there, but the villagers are protected by this wizard by the name of the dragon, but the dragon asks for something in return. He asks for one of the villagers, like a young girl. This book has been so high up on my TBR pile, and so I'm finally so happy to be able to read it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, all the books I mentioned will be in the description below, so if you want to check them out, go ahead, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!